Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to day 3 of our reading and phonics work. Today we're continuing our work with adjective suffixes. So we're looking for and working with words that end in these letters. It helps us identify adjectives. Okay, and remember, an adjective is a word that describes a noun. All right, and we'll be focused in today on page 27 in your My Word Study book. And the article is called The Legend of Bluebird and Coyote. Now, legend, I'm curious about this story because a legend is a made-up story to describe how something, usually in nature, came to be. So, like an example might be Paul Bunyan and the Blue Ox. Okay, the legend is Paul Bunyan is a giant, and his footsteps are what created the lakes in Minnesota. Okay, so legends are made-up stories to help us try to explain what's happening in nature. All right, so today we're looking for what does this legend explain? So we want to know, what is this legend explaining? What real thing in nature? And then, what do Coyote's actions tell you about him? And how are Bluebird and Coyote different? Cite details from the text to support your answer. Okay, so we're looking for ways to describe Coyote and describe Bluebird. And then, what other legends have you read that explain how things came to be? All right, so that last question is a personal connection, so we can save that till the end. But while we're reading today, we want to figure out, what does this legend explain? And then we also want to find words that help us describe Coyote and Bluebird. All right, so when we flip over here, we have The Legend of Bluebird and Coyote. Bluebird once lived near a lake with delightful blue water. At that time, Bluebird's feathers were a dull color. But because the bird loved the blue water so much, it began to bathe in the lake. Bluebird bathed in the lake 4 mornings in a row, singing a joyful song each time. On the 5th morning, Bluebird's feathers turned blue. So I'm going to underline that joyful, singing joyful song, because that helps me understand Bluebird. But it also, this next line, on the 5th morning, Bluebird's feathers turned blue. I'm wondering if this legend is going to describe why the bluebird is blue. Okay, so let's keep reading though and make sure that I'm correct on that. Now Coyote had been watching Bluebird, and on the 5th morning he asked, "How is it that your feathers are now such an impressive shade of blue?" Coyote wanted to be blue too, so Bluebird proceeded to tell him exactly what to do. Coyote began to bathe in the lake. For 4 mornings he bathed and sang Bluebird's song. And on the 5th day he was transformed. Coyote turned a magnificent shade of blue. Coyote was so proud of his fantastic color, he ran down the road, looking around to see if anyone noticed him. Suddenly, Coyote tripped and landed on the ground. He became a dusty color again, and to this day, all coyotes are the color of the earth. All right, so you know it does. It describes why bluebirds are blue, but it also, this last line here, describes why coyotes are the color of the earth. So we have 2 descriptions happening in this legend. Okay, so it sounds like Bluebird was happy and joyful. I wonder what your interpretation of Coyote was. Because In this last paragraph, I underlined Coyote was so proud of his fantastic color. I'm wondering if he was, that makes me think he was kind of a show off. He wanted to show everyone his color, that he was better than them. He ran down the street looking around to see if anyone noticed him. So he might have been someone that really wanted the attention of others and really wanted to look good. And that would be my inference based on that information. So why don't you go ahead and read that last paragraph and see how would you describe Coyote based on his actions. All right. So remember, our first question is what legend? We were able to find two, this legend explained two different, why the bluebird is blue, but also why the coyote was a dusty brown. And then in that second question, you're describing coyote and bluebird using details from the text. Okay, and like always, your answers will be right at the bottom of the page. All right, nice work, fifth graders. We'll see you again tomorrow.